A small act of kindness that changed everything. Yusuf was a hard-working taxi driver, but no matter how hard he worked, his paycheck barely covered his expenses. That night, as he waited for his next fare, Yusuf noticed a woman standing by the curb, holding her child close. Her eyes were swollen from crying, exhaustion visible on her face. Something inside Yusuf stirred, a quiet voice urging him to help. Yusuf rolled down his window. "Need a ride?" he asked gently. The woman silently nodded and stepped inside. As they drove, Yusuf glanced at her through the rearview mirror. She stared blankly out of the window, lost in thought. A sense of unease crept over him. Who was she running from? What had led her to this moment? The taxi stopped. The woman hesitantly reached for her purse, but before she could take out any money, Yusuf raised a hand. "Keep it. Looks like you're already having a tough day." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I can't accept this. Please." Yusuf shook his head. "It's on me. Just take care of yourself." She hesitated, then nodded. As she stepped out, she whispered, "Thank you." That night, just as Yusuf was about to fall asleep, his phone buzzed. He groaned, assuming it was a spam call, but something urged him to pick up. "Are you Yusuf, the taxi driver?" Yes? Who's asking?" Yusuf replied, sitting up. "I'm calling on behalf of the woman you drove home tonight. She wanted to personally thank you. Your kindness meant more than you can imagine." Yusuf blinked, caught off guard. "Oh, it was nothing. Just trying to help." The man on the phone continued, pausing for a moment, as if choosing his words carefully. "Actually, there's more. She was once wealthy, but left everything behind after a personal tragedy. Her past is not what it seems. Once surrounded by wealth and security, she had everything until a tragic betrayal shattered her world. Now, she found herself lost in a world of uncertainty, struggling to rebuild from the ruins of her past. Tonight was one of her lowest moments. Your small act of kindness gave her hope. Her family knows what you did, and they'd like to meet you." Yusuf nearly dropped his phone. "Meet me? Why?" The man chuckled. "Just come. You'll see." Wait, what happens next? Will Yusuf's life change forever? If you're enjoying this story, make sure to like and subscribe. Your support pushes us to bring you more thought-provoking and inspiring stories. Now, back to the story. The next morning, Yusuf stood before a grand mansion, straightening his worn-out jacket. He took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. A well-dressed man, Mr. James, opened the door. "Yusuf, thank you for coming. Please, come in." Yusuf stepped inside, his eyes widening in awe as he took in the marble floors, dazzling chandeliers, and paintings that likely cost more than his entire taxi. A mix of nerves and disbelief hit him. How had one small act of kindness brought him here? The woman from last night stood before him, now composed but emotional. She smiled warmly. "Yusuf, last night I was at my wit's end. Your kindness reminded me that there are still good people in the world." Yusuf rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. "I just did what anyone would do." "Not everyone," she replied softly. "Most people just ignored me." Mr. James stepped forward. "Her family wants to express their gratitude in a way that truly matters." Yusuf frowned. "Oh, there's no need for that." Mr. James smiled. "We insist. They want to pay off all your debts and offer you a stable job in one of their companies." Yusuf's jaw dropped. "Wait, me? Are you sure?" The woman nodded. "You showed kindness without expecting anything in return. This is our way of giving back." Days later, Yusuf started his new job. The first few weeks were tough, new responsibilities and the pressure to prove himself. But he was determined. Yusuf struggled with new tasks and self-doubt. But one senior colleague, Mr. Harris, noticed his dedication and took him under his wing. But then he remembered the struggles he had overcome, the kindness that had led him here. With each passing day, Yusuf refined his skills and soon found himself excelling. Over time, their bond grew stronger. They became more than just acquaintances. They became his true friends, offering him support and guidance along the way. Yusuf sat in his new home, gazing out the window. He smiled, reflecting on how a single act of kindness had transformed his life forever. "Life is unexpected," he whispered, a warm smile spreading across his face. "But more than that, I've learned that kindness has a way of coming full circle. A single act, given without expectation, can change everything." Moral of the story: kindness costs nothing but means everything. A small gesture can spark hope in someone's darkest moment. What you give selflessly returns in unexpected ways.